Very good morning to everyone. So let's start our 12th chapter, that is Introduction to Acids and Base. Students, you are now familiar with the acids and base because in our surroundings some acids and bases are present, but we don't know which acids are useful and which acids are harmful. So in this lessons we are going to study how to identify the acids and how to identify the base. What are the properties of acids? What are the uses of the acids? And what are the properties of bases, and what are the uses of the bases in this lesson. So let's start with the chapter. So indicator, what is indicator? The substance which are neither acidic or basic are chemically inert in nature. Okay, now some substances are acidic, as you all know that some substances are acidic while some substances are basic. But how to identify this acidic or basic? So for that purpose we are using the indicators. So there is one litmus paper. With the help of litmus paper, if the color changes of the litmus paper in acid solution or base solution, that time we can recognize that this solution is a acidic solution or this solution is a basic solution. But some substances are there which are neither acid or neither base. So such substances are called as inert substances. Okay, there are some substances which are inert in nature. Okay, now we as acids and base are very sensitive and they are very harmful, so we cannot touch or taste these substances and identify the acids and base. Okay, so these are so sensitive and harmful that we cannot identify by touching or by tasting that whether it is acid or base. So it is very risky, students, to identify in this way. So our scientists have told us that uh, uh, instead of this we can use litmus paper for identifying the acid solution and basic solution. Okay, now so there are some substances which change their color in presence of acids and base. Now those are called as indicators. Now when the substance changes their color in presence of acid or base, those are called as indicators. Now I will show you some types of indicator. Here you can see methyl orange. You can see the name only tells that this indicator is of orange color. Naphthalene, this is the colorless solution indicator. Methyl red, this is red in color. Okay, so these are some indicators which are useful for identifying the acid and base solution. Okay, so when the litmus paper when the blue litmus paper turns red in acid, that time we can say that that is the acidic solution. Okay, and when the red litmus paper turns blue in base acid, that time we can say that that is the basic solution. That is the basic solution. So this is how you can see. Here you can see the two different colors of acid. Here you can see the two different colors of litmus paper, that is blue and pink. If the color blue and red, so if the color changes, that means the solution is acidic. When the blue litmus paper turns red, we can identify that the solution is acidic. And when the red litmus paper turns blue, we can say that the solution is basic. Okay, so this is how we are identifying. Students, when you come to school, that time in the laboratory we will perform sometime different activities in which you can understand the difference between how to identify the acidic and how to identify the basic solution. But now orally I am telling you how to identify. Okay, then acids. Now acids is a substance that produces hydrogen ions. Means what happens? Acids when dissolve in water, that time what happens? It produce hydrogen ions. Hydrogen ions means H plus ions when they dissolve in water. And all of acids contain hydrogen in when they are reacting with the water. Okay, when the acid reacts with water, they are producing hydrogen ions, that is H plus ions. Okay, the hydrogen ion which is produced for the properties of the acid. Only in acid, when the acid is reacted with water, only that time only you can find out that the reaction when is carried out, it gives out hydrogen ions. So there are some acids which some are man-made while some are natural acids. So here are some man-made acids, that is hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, nitric acid. So hydrochloric acid symbol is HCl, sulfuric acid symbol is H2SO4, and nitric acid symbol is HNO3. Okay, and here you can see there are some natural acids. You can see here vinegar, orange, turmeric, tomato, curd, lemon. These all are having different types of acids. So in vinegar, what type of acid is present? Acetic acids. Okay. In vinegar, what is present? Acetic acid. And in orange, what is present? Citric acid. Okay. Uh, Even in lemon also citric acid is present. Then tamarind, which type of acid is present? Tartaric acid. And in tomato, oxalic acid is present. And in curd, which type of acid is present? Lactic acid. Now these acids are natural, they do not harm. Okay, so these are natural acids which does not harm to our body. Okay, so they are called as natural acids. And the man-made acids such as hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, nitric acid, these are man-made acids which are harmful, and they are only used for reaction performing the uh, reactions in the lab. Okay, now what are the properties of the acids? So acids are very sour to taste, so we are not going to taste the acid, but the scientists are telling the quality or taste of the acid, that is it is sour. So whenever you enter in the laboratory, you are not supposed to taste any acid. Okay, it may be very dangerous and very harmful for us. So acid is not supposed to taste. Our scientists have done this experiment, so they are telling us that the acids are sour to taste. Okay, and when these acids react with the water, that time when this acid when you dip the litmus paper, blue litmus paper in the acid, that time that the blue litmus turns red. Okay, and the pH value is less than 7. Okay, now till now what we have studied, that acids are man-made as well as natural. Natural acids are not harmful, while when acids are dissolved in water, what happens? Hydrogen ions are produced. Okay, and in properties, what we have studied? In properties, we have studied that acid is sour in taste. It reacts with metals to form hydrogen gas. When this acid reacts with metal, that time hydrogen gas is liberated, not hydrogen ion. When they react with other molecules, that time hydrogen ion is liberated. But especially when acid reacts with metal, that time what happened? Hydrogen gas is liberated. Okay, and the third point is that when in acid the blue litmus paper turns red. And fourth point is what? The pH value is less than 7. Okay, these are the properties of the acids. Students, you are supposed to know the properties and uses of the acids. Okay, so for that purpose you are supposed to know these things. Now acid which reacts with metal, what do they produce? Metal when react with acid, they form salt and hydrogen. For example, magnesium ribbon with dilute sulfuric acid. When magnesium ribbon is reacted with dilute sulfuric acid, what do we get? We get magnesium sulfate plus hydrogen gas is liberated. Means I told you that when acid reacts with metal, that time hydrogen ion is not given out, but hydrogen gas is given out. So this example gives the proof that when the acid reacts with metal, that time hydrogen ion is not given out, that time hydrogen gas is given out and salt is produced. Okay, then What is the next chemical properties? To test the hydrogen, place a split to test. So whenever you take the acid near the water, that time you can hear the sound of pop sound. So this sound, when you hear, we can identify that is acid. But we are not supposed to do these types of experiment. This is just for knowing or extra knowledge. Okay. Then the next is, some acid does not react with unreactive metals. Now, which are the unreactive metals? Copper and silver are the unreactive metals. Means acid does not react with these metals. For example, copper and silver. Okay. Then the concentric nitric acid reacts with metal, but it does not give hydrogen. That means that when nitric acid reacts with metal, okay, nitric acid, when reacts with metal, that time hydrogen is not given out. Nitrogen dioxide is given out. Okay, so this is one of the properties. Uh, then when lead also does not react with the acids. Okay, so these are some of the chemical properties. Now let's see one more reactions. When acid reacts with carbonates to form salt and carbon dioxide and water. When acid is reacted with carbonate, what is formed? Salt, carbon dioxide, and water is formed. Now what is the example here? Um, when sodium carbonate is reacted with dilute hydrochloric, what is given out? Sodium chloride is given out, plus water and carbon dioxide is liberated. Means when the acid is reacting with carbonates, that time what is liberated? Salt is, we get one type of salt, as well as we are getting carbon dioxide and water also. And the bubble the gas like lime water to taste the carbon dioxide. Now as you know that if the substance consists of carbon dioxide, there we can see the bubbles. Okay, in thumbs up, mirinda, in all that, when you open the lid of the thumbs up and mirinda, what happens? That time you can see the bubbles in the bottle. Why these bubbles are there? Because carbon dioxide is present in the in the solution. Okay, so you can see the bubbles in the form of gas. Okay, so this is the second chemical property. Then the third chemical property is that when acid reacts with metal oxide, what is formed? Hydroxide is formed to form water and salt and water. Means here when metal oxide reacts with acid, salt and water is formed, that is H2O is formed. Okay, so when acids are reacting with metal oxide, okay, so metal oxide is reacted, and when the reaction takes place with acid, what happens? Hydrogen ion is given out. That hydrogen ion and oxide means OH. So OH and H together forms H2O. Okay, and hydrochloric acid, even in the same, hydroxide means what? OH. And whenever the reaction is carried out with acid, what does the acid gives? It gives hydrogen ions. So when this hydrogen ions reacts with hydroxide, what is formed? Water is formed. Means OH plus H, what you get? H2O you get. Okay. Then what is the role of acid? So acid only reacts when placed on water. So I told you that acid only reacts when they are reacting with mixed with water. That time we can see the different types of reaction, and here the water breakdowns the hydrogen ion. Hydrogen ion means H plus ion. Okay. As acid dissolves in water, so it shows the property of dissolving in water. That's why hydrogen ion is produced in um, water and along with the salt. Then the acid dissociates the water to produce hydrogen ion, which is responsible for acidic property. So there is dissociation. When acid reacts with water, at that time what happens? There is dissociation in water. That is H2O molecules are dissociated. Means they are breakdown into breakdown, and what happens? The hydrogen ion gets separated from the water, and the reaction takes place. This is the role how it takes place in the acidity. Okay, as we all know that whenever the acid reacts with water, only hydrogen ion is produced, not hydrogen gas. Hydrogen gas is produced only when the acid is reacting with metals. Okay, it is possible only when they are reacting with metals like magnesium. Okay, I told you, I have given you the example of the magnesium ribbon reacting with hydrogen sulfuric acid. So when this reaction takes place, that time what happens, hydrogen gas gets liberated. Okay, then what are the uses of the acid? Now this is the most important point, that you should know what are the uses of the acid. Now sulfuric acid, sulfuric acids are used for in detergent. Okay, they are also used in car batteries. Okay, then ethonic acid, it is used as a vinegar to preserve the food. So as you all know that food is preserved with the help of some chemicals. So vinegar is one of the chemical that is used to preserve the food. So ethonic acid, it has vinegar is having ethonic acid, so which helps the food to preserve. Okay, there is also ethonic acid used in some adhesive glue. So in glue also ethonic acid is used. Then hydrochloric acid, where it is used, it is used for cleaning metals, leather processing. Okay, so these are the things that you are supposed to know. Okay, this is the uses of the acid. So students, I hope you have understood. So the what is about the acid? Acid is sour in taste. Acid molecule contains hydrogen ion when it reacts with water. When acid reacts with metal, what is liberated? Hydrogen ion is liberated. Okay, and in acid, blue litmus paper turns red. This is how you are going to identify the acid. There are some useful acids as well as there are some harmful acids. Useful acids such as vinegar, orange tamarind, tomato, curd, lemon, these are some useful acids that we are using in our day-to-day life. Okay, and some are man-made acids, that is hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid. Okay, these types of acids which are man-made acids, those are dangerous. Okay, so this is about the acids. Just a second. Okay, so students, bases, what are bases? Bases are the substances when react with water, they are showing hydroxide. Hydroxide means OH minus ions are produced when the reaction takes place. Now let's see about the bases. Okay, a base is an metal oxide or hydroxide. Hydroxide means OH ion. Here at the end reaction, you can see the hydroxide, that is OH minus. That is the hydroxide, and the H plus is the acid. Okay, means when what acid is reacted with water, what is liberated? Hydrogen ion, that is H plus ions are liberated. When base reacts with water, that time OH minus ions are liberated. Okay, so this thing you should remember, because this is the main difference between the acids and base. Now the second point, that is base is a substance that reacts with acid to give salt as well as water. Now here what happens, you when the acid reacts with metal oxide or hydroxide, that time what is liberated? Salt is produced and water is produced. As here the equation is given as any hydroxide, that is OH minus, reacts with H plus ions, what is produced? Water is produced, that is H2O. H2O, this is the ionic solution, that is always easy for understanding. Okay, we will see more reaction in the next slide. Now some bases. Now here you can see in the slide that there are some different types of common bases used. So sodium oxide, zinc oxide, copper oxide, copper 2 oxide, magnesium hydroxide, aluminium hydroxide. Even you can see the sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, calcium hydroxide, magnesium hydroxide, ammonium hydroxide. How does it looks actually? So for that purpose I have taken this picture so that you can understand about the base, how it looks. So acid is a liquid thing, whereas bases are in the form of powder, or they may be in the form of liquid also. Both are available. Okay, so this is the family of bases. Now bases are divided further into two types. So what are the bases further divided into two types? Some bases are soluble while some are insoluble. Now I told you that when bases are soluble in water, that time alkalis are produced, and when the are insoluble in water, that time metal oxide and hydroxides are produced. So this thing I will show you in the next slide so that you will understand with the example. Okay, now what is alkali? Alkali is the base that is soluble in water. Now I told you that bases are divided into two forms, soluble and insoluble. So soluble forms are further divided into alkalis, and insoluble further form are divided into met, uh, hydroxide. Okay, so some examples. Now what are the examples of alkali? Sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, calcium hydroxide, barium hydroxide, aqueous ammonium. These are the examples of alkali. Okay, these are all the examples of the alkalis. Now, what are the properties of alkalis? This is bitter in taste. Now, I told you acids. How are acids? They are sour in taste. And how are alkalis? Alkalis are bitter in taste, and they are soapy feel. Means how you touch the soap, that much they are soapy to feel. Okay, and in alkalis, what happens? The red litmus paper turns blue. Okay, and what is the pH value? It is more less than 7. In the basis what we have studied, it is more than 7. The pH value of acid is more than 7, and the pH value is less than 7. Okay, now the chemical reaction that takes place in alkalis. Now in alkalis, what is produced? When I told you that when alkalis react with water, what type of ions are produced? Hydroxide ions are produced. That is OH minus ions are produced when they are dissolved in water. Understood? When sodium hydroxide reacts with water, that time what is given out? Sodium ions are given out, and hydroxide is ions are given out. Okay, then chemical properties of alkalis, they react with acids to form salt and water. Now these alkalis also react with water to give out salt and water. So these types are called as neutralization. Okay, the salt which depends on acids, for example sulfuric acid, sulfide is converted, hydrochloric acid, chloride is converted. Okay, the salt depends upon the acid, how it is used. Okay, again the standard equation, this is that H plus, that is the aqueous solution, plus hydrogen OH minus aqueous solution, when react with each other, what is formed? That is water is formed. That water is the ion. This is the ionic equation for this. It is standardized. This is the ionic equation, and this is the standardized equation accepted overall. Now, chemical properties of alkalis. What are the chemical properties? The alkalis heated with ammonium salt gives off ammonia gas. When they are heated with ammonium gas, what is given out? Ammonia is given out. Okay, ammonia gas is given out. Now here alkali plus ammonium salt is reacted. When this reaction takes place, what is given out? Ammonium gas is given out along with the water and salt. Okay, then ammonia has a strong smell and turns the red litmus paper blue. I told you first only that the red litmus paper turns blue, but the smell of the ammonia is very strong. So this is the new point that you can understand. When the alkali reacts with ammonium salt, what is given out? Ammonium gas is given out along with the salt and water, and this ammonium gas is giving very strong odor or smell. Okay, here one more example we can take, that when the calcium hydroxide reacts with ammonium chloride, that time what happens? Calcium chloride plus water plus ammonia is given out. When the calcium hydroxide and ammonium chloride reacts with each other, that time what happens? Calcium chloride plus water and ammonia is given out. Means whenever the alkali is heated with ammonium salt, it gives out ammonia. Okay, so here ammonia gas is given out in this place also when it is reacted with calcium hydroxide. So when calcium hydroxide and ammonium chloride are reacted with each other, what do they give? They give calcium chloride plus water plus ammonia. Ammonia is the gas which is having a strong smell. Then other properties, when the alkalis react with the solution of the metal, that time what they give? They give out metal hydroxide. Okay, so here alkali plus salt, what do they give? They give metal hydroxide plus salt of metal B. Means here the alkali hydroxide is produced as well as the salt, different salt is also produced in this reaction. So let us understand this reaction by other thing, that is sodium hydroxide plus ions. When these two things are reacted, what happens? Iron to hydroxide is prepared. Iron to hydroxide is prepared plus sodium sulfate is also is liberated in this reaction. Okay, now what are here are some alkalis, their uses of alkalis. So here you can see that sodium hydroxide is also known as caustic soda. So sodium hydroxide is also known as caustic soda. So sodium, what is the chemical formula for sodium? That is Na. Hydroxide, what is the chemical formula? That is OH. So sodium hydroxide, that is NaOH. This is how the formula is generated. So sodium hydroxide, where it is used? It is used for washing soap. Potassium, how it is generated? K. So KOH. Okay, it is also known as potash. And where it is used? It is used in soap and shampoos. Then calcium hydroxide. Calcium means Ca. Hydroxide means OH. So calcium hydroxide. So CaOH twice. Why twice? Because two hydroxide bonds are produced in this calcium hydroxide. So calcium hydroxide and lime water. So where it is used? It is used as lime washing or white washing. For that purpose, calcium hydroxide is used. Then magnesium hydroxide, that is milk of magnesia. So magnesium means Mg and hydroxide means OH. So magnesium hydroxide, that means acidity resistant medicines, means these are used in medicines. Okay, magnesium hydroxide is mostly used in medicines. Then ammonium hydroxide. Ammonium means NH4. So NH4 when reacts with hydroxide means NH4OH. Now where it is ammonium hydroxide is used? It is used for production of fertilizers. Okay, now here we have seen different alkalis along with their formula where they are used. So this table is very important as they are showing you the different uses of the alkalis in the day-to-day life. So students, in this lesson you are supposed to know the properties of acid, uses of acid, properties of base, uh, properties of alkalis and uses of alkalis. Even students, you are supposed to know how the equation is balanced here. When the equation takes place, how the equation takes place, that also you should know. Now, uses of alkalis. Ammonium solution. Now, where is ammonium solution used? Window cleaning solution. So whenever there is a window cleaning solution is available in the market, so what does it consist? It consists of ammonium solution. Then, while making iron, concrete, or cement, what is used? Calcium oxide is used. So, calcium oxide is the alkali which is used for making irons, concretes, and cements. Then, magnesium hydroxide, where it is used in toothpaste to neutralize the acids of teeth. So, whatever acid is present in our teeth, that is neutralized with the help of the toothpaste, which is consisting of magnesium hydroxide in antacids to relieve the indigestion. So whatever indigestion is there in our mouth, that particular things are generally removed out with the help of magnesium hydroxide. Okay, then sodium hydroxide, where sodium hydroxide is used? Sodium hydroxide is used in um, sodium hydroxide is used in making soaps and detergents. So these are some of the alkalis. Now the last is neutralization. Now in this neutralization, we can see that what we have studied in the acids and base, when the acid reacts with water, that time which type of ion is liberated? H plus ion, that is hydrogen ion is liberated. And when it reacts with bases, what which ion is liberated? That is OH minus hydrogen hydroxide ion is liberated. But when the salt and water are formed by combination of acid and alkali, as you all know that salt and water is a combination of acid and alkali. So how this takes place? So here when we take acid example is hydrochloric acid, okay, and we have taken base. What is the base? Sodium hydroxide. So HCl is for hydrochloric acid and sodium hydroxide. Now, when acid and base reacts with each other, that time what is formed? Salt and water is formed. So what type of salt is formed? Sodium chloride salt is formed along with the water, that is H2O. Here the reaction is properly balanced. So this type of chemical reaction is called as neutralization. Okay, students, in our body also in our in 7th standard you have studied that we are mostly suffering with acidity. So that acidity occurs due to which? Because there is dilute hydrochloric acid in our stomach, present in our stomach. So whenever acidity increases, means what? The dilute hydrochloric acid causes problem in our body when we do not eat something. So for that purpose we have to take our breakfast properly, so that acidity does not takes properly. So whenever we are facing with the problem of acidity, what does the doctor advise us? That do the breakfast properly, keep the food, don't change the food timings. If we maintain all this timing, we do not have acidity problems. Okay, when there is acidity problem, because you are not eating properly, and the hydrochloric acid which is present in our stomach, that becomes excessive and it causes acidity in our body. For that purpose you have to keep the body balanced by having your breakfast and food at the proper time. So students, I think we have done with the